The December 1st issue of Saikyo Jump contained one of the more unusual interviews with Akira Toriyama on the subject of Dragon Ball. The often easygoing and comedic Toriyama had a decidedly different tone this time around, focusing on the science and lore behind the Saiyan race and the Super Saiyan transformation, topics that were only briefly touched on in the original story. There's already been a ton of controversy and salt surrounding this interview, with fanboys loudly proclaiming, "It's midichlorians! Dragon Ball is ruined now!" Well, no matter how you feel on the matter, I'm personally always fascinated by any interview with Toriyama, and it's not often that the man himself adds to the lore or backstory of Dragon Ball. Until now, we've been working off a lot of assumptions when it comes to the Super Saiyan transformation. At first, it seemed like a certain battle power was needed, in addition to some kind of emotional trigger. However, as time went on, the picture became more and more blurry, and more questions started to come up. With seemingly very little battle power and no emotional trigger to speak of, both Trunks and Goten were able to achieve the Super Saiyan form. It was like a Super Saiyan bargain sale. To make things more confusing, we learned that there were Super Saiyan forms beyond the original Super Saiyan. While the traditional method was used when Gohan achieved Super Saiyan 2, characters like Goku and Vegeta seemingly achieved the form simply through training hard and taking their vitamins, with no emotional trigger to speak of. Things only got weirder with Dragon Ball Super and the introduction of the Universe 6 Saiyans. 3 of them somehow discovered that the key to transforming into a Super Saiyan was focusing your ki in your back to create a tingly sensation. That's a new one. Maybe Mr. Toriyama can clear some of this up for us with this Q&A. Super special thanks to Herms from Kanzenshu for providing this awesome translation of the interview. If you don't follow Kanzenshu or @Herms98 on Twitter, you are missing out. So let's start with question 5 from the interview. Question: can anyone become a Super Saiyan if they train? And here's Toriyama's answer. It's not like anyone can become a Super Saiyan through training and anger. In order to become a Super Saiyan, one's body must contain something called S cells. Once these S cells reach a certain amount, a trigger such as anger will explosively increase the S cells and cause a change in the body. That's Super Saiyan. Most Saiyans have some S cells, although not a great quantity. The reason why Goku and Vegeta's children can become Super Saiyan relatively easy is probably because, to a certain extent, they inherited a lot of S cells, and also because Earth's environment is gentler and easier to live in than planet Vegeta. Lately, everyone becomes Super Saiyan so easily, but it is no simple matter. The next question asks, and how does one increase S cells to become Super Saiyan? The answer is, having a gentle spirit is the best way to greatly increase one's S cells. But most Saiyans have trouble with this, which I think is why no Super Saiyans appeared for such a long time and they became the stuff of legend. However, one can't reach the quantity necessary for becoming a Super Saiyan simply by having a gentle spirit, so a certain amount of battle power is indeed necessary. Looked at in this light, it's easy to see why becoming a Super Saiyan came easy for Goku. Then there's a picture of Goten with the quote, "He was able to easily become Super Saiyan thanks to inheriting lots of S cells." Then we have a Goku picture that has this quote, "A gentle heart plus high battle power resulted in Super Saiyan." Okay, so it seems like everyone is getting worked up about this S cells concept, but I don't think it's that offensive of an idea. It's certainly not as dumb as trying to apply a biological, scientific explanation to something as nebulous as, let's say, the Force in Star Wars. There was always a bit of scientific explanation tied to the strength of Saiyans, as we always knew that Saiyan/Earthling half-breeds had more potential than a full-blooded Saiyan. It explained why Gohan, Goten, and Trunks were so powerful at such a young age, and why Pan is freaking broken already. In this interview, Toriyama just goes one additional step deeper into the biology behind this. Even though it was never outright explained in the story, I always just assumed that Goten and Trunks were able to achieve Super Saiyan at such a young age because they were conceived after their respective fathers had reached such a high battle power. Well, now we have confirmation that this theory was pretty much right on, except it wasn't exactly the battle power that did it. It was these S cells. Goten inherited a ton of S cells from his father, and S cells come from having a, quote, gentle spirit, as well as a high battle power. So basically Goku actually put in all of the work, and Goten is just a spoiled brat who had everything in his life handed to him by his rich father. Okay? On to the next question. Was the legendary Super Saiyan Frieza feared the Super Saiyan God that appeared in Battle of Gods? And here's Toriyama's answer. In a certain sense, they are the same person. That is to say, very long ago, before planet Vegeta was the Saiyan's planet, there was a man named Yamoshi, who had a righteous heart despite being a Saiyan. He and his 5 comrades started a rebellion, but he was cornered by warriors and became a Super Saiyan for the first time, though his transformation and fearsome fighting style shocked the other Saiyans. Outnumbered, Yamoshi eventually wore himself out and was defeated, but this was only the beginning of his legend. Afterwards, Yamoshi's spirit wandered in continuous search of 6 righteous-hearted Saiyans, seeking a new savior, Super Saiyan God. And that's why there's that ceremony to become Super Saiyan God. Quick follow-up question they ask, and why did Beerus search for Super Saiyan God? And Toriyama's response is, Beerus probably picked up on information about Yamoshi's spirit in his prophetic dream. The fact that this is recorded in the Namekian Book of Legends is likewise because the Namekian elder who wrote it sympathized with Yamoshi's spirit. Okay, so first of all, I guess we could throw this out the window. Toriyama has finally come out and detailed the story behind the original Super Saiyan. Yamoshi was not only a powerful warrior, but seemingly the only Saiyan at the time with a gentle spirit. This tale was already briefly touched upon in Battle of Gods by Shenron. When he was asked to produce the Super Saiyan God, he mentioned that he knows a ritual to produce one, which was written in the quote-unquote Namekian Book of Legends. Basically, Toriyama explains that the Namekian elder spoke with this ghost Yamoshi and wrote down the cheat code to unlock Super Saiyan God in his diary. If I'm understanding this explanation correctly, it seems like the original Super Saiyan was not actually the gold-haired warrior, but instead the red-haired Super Saiyan God. Yamoshi was able to perform the ritual with his 5 kind-hearted friends, and he became the first Super Saiyan as a result, also known as Super Saiyan God, also known as the Legendary Super Saiyan. As far as we know, the ritual was never performed again, nor was there a Saiyan with enough S cells to reach the Super Saiyan form until Goku finally did it on Namek. So Yamoshi was the Legendary Super Saiyan. Definitely not this guy. Now, while this interview does answer some questions, it doesn't answer all of them. To me, the Super Saiyan God ritual is still a bit of a confusing mess. Do the aforementioned S cells play a part in the Super Saiyan God ritual? Do you need a certain amount of them to attain this form? What about Super Saiyan Blue? If Yamoshi was simply a kind-hearted Saiyan, where exactly did God Ki enter the equation? Because Yamoshi and his 5 friends decided to hold hands one day, he became a god? Like, literally a god. Like there's gods in Dragon Ball, we've met them. You're telling me that this Saiyan dude suddenly managed to get the same energy as actual gods by holding hands with his friends. At the end of the day, it's still Akira Toriyama and it's still Dragon Ball. While it's fun sometimes to think about these things and discuss them and speculate, it's only gonna stress you out if you try to analyze every little bit of the story and try to make complete logical sense of all of it. Even with this more detailed explanation of Saiyan biology and mythology, I doubt Toriyama really thinks too hard about these things. After all, this is the same guy who forgot Super Saiyan 2 was a thing. But nonetheless, I think this brief look at the lore of the Saiyan race and the science behind the Super Saiyan transformation is pretty interesting. I always get a kick out of creators answering long-ass questions about their story, and there has always been confusion from the fan base surrounding what exactly triggers a Super Saiyan transformation. Now we know. S-cells. S-cells. Wait, does Cell have S-cells? Okay, that could be another video, so I'm just gonna stop right here. What do you think about this new Toriyama Q&A? Are you a fan of the S-cell revelation? What do you think of the Yamoshi story? Would you like to see that story maybe in animated form someday? Let me know in the comments below, and if you like this video, please hit that like and subscribe button. We're under 2 months away from the big Dragon Ball FighterZ launch, so expect lots of coverage here on the channel. And as always, ongoing Dragon Ball Super reviews and content. Thanks for watching everyone, and take care.